Over. In this case, I'm going to insert it under the caul and over the spring bar. I'm going to slide it in until I can see my tape marks are lined up with the exact center of my waist, which is actually the slot area here. And then I'll go ahead and crank the bending caul down with the veneer press screw, and I'll bring the entire sandwich down in contact with the top of the molds. That looks pretty good. Now you notice, we just leave it like this, the ends are going to flop around, we're not going to have good contact. So I'm going to take some spring clamps here, and I'm going to put one clamp up here. I'm going to take a couple of small spring clamps, close the edges here. Now I said we were going to use this thermocouple, and we are. Move across the front of the camera here, hope you don't mind. We're going to put this into the bending package under the, just right above where the wood is, in which case we're going to be in between the paper and the foil. We're actually going to be, I think we should be good, right about in here. We can actually insert this into the package. There we go. And again, I'll use a couple of spring clamps to hold things together. Now, one of the things we're going to have to watch out for is making sure we don't get the thermocouple lead caught on the bending caul that we're going to use. I'll show those to you in just a minute. Once we've got a couple of clamps on, we'll keep things properly clamped here. I'm just going to slip this off, look in. I'm going to check that I can see my tape marker, get that lined up exactly. Again, that marks the waist of the guitar. And I think we're in pretty good shape. Looks good. We'll plug the blanket in. And my technique, I'm very familiar with my rig. I set my timer to 40 minutes. And I know that after about 3 minutes, the sandwich will be hot enough to bend the wood. In other words, we're going to look for steam rising from the sandwich, and that tells us that the wood is ready to warming up. I'm going to get my bending cauls on, and in this case, I have two that I'm going to use. The bending cauls are pretty much just a couple of pieces of wood, some springs. They go over the slat package, tie into a couple of screws that I've got set into the bender, and they allow us to pull the side back and keep it in place, and that's actually what does the bending. There's another one that goes up here. I'll put that in, connect it to the appropriate screws for the pivot. I can feel the slats getting hot. We're up to about 153 degrees already. You can see how fast this comes up. And again, what we're looking for, I'm going to put another clamp right around where the thermocouple sits so we get real good contact there. What we're looking for is, again, steam rising from the two sides of the bending package right here. We should see sort of tendrils of steam come up. Now, because we're not using very much water, we're going to have a limited amount of time to get the wood bent. Once you start seeing steam coming up, we need to start bringing the waist down. As soon as we have the waist under tension, but not quite all the way down, we'll leave it about 3/8 of an inch to 1/2 an inch off, probably about 3/8 of an inch here, off the mold. We'll go ahead and we'll bend the lower bout because it's a larger radius and can be bent at a slightly lower temperature, and then we'll bend the upper bout here. Now keep in mind there's not a whole lot of bending that's going to go on here, again because my side ends right about here, but we still want to get that nice contour in, so we'll pull this down and set it. I'm up to 204 degrees temperature. We're just starting to see steam coming up here. Keep in mind some parts of the blanket hotter than others. We go ahead and put on a little bit more light here. Now we're looking for steam here, and what you'll see are tendrils of steam rising up I'm beginning to see pretty good steam down here near the end. There's no wood in here to heat up, so it's going to steam first. We're looking for the area with the wood to start steaming, and then we'll look at bending. So again, we're starting to see pretty good steam in here coming up, and we should be about almost 3 minutes in. You notice our temperature now is up to 231 degrees. We're getting into the range where some rosewoods are going to bend. They're easy bender. You heat them up a little bit and they're good to go. Some people bend cocobolo there. I'm starting to see steam up in this area now, and that looks pretty good. I'm going to start moving my waste down now. We've got a good head of steam coming up from both locations. And again, I'll take the waste down to about 1/4 inch or so, 3/8 of an inch, 1/2 an inch, thereabouts. I think for this wood, we don't want to set the waste hard down on the mold, but right about here is good. So I'll take the call, brace myself against the upper bout here, pull, and again, it seems to be bending pretty easily. We want to watch out that we don't damage the thermocouple lead here. So I'll just skip over that just a bit. Looks pretty good. And again, I'll continue pulling that lower bout down. I'll get the clamps off here and continue to bend. Now we're going to get the upper before we run out of steam. We'll go ahead and pull those connectors. We're up to 256 degrees according to the thermometer now. So we're ready to do this upper bout here. Before we get too hot, we get rid of all that moisture in there that's really softening up the wood. And again, because the wood only runs to here, we really don't have to pull this caul all the way down like we would for normal side. So I'll just set the caul there. Now that we've got both ends bent, I'm going to set the waste hard. What's going to happen is that's going to put the upper bout and the lower bout in very strong tension, and we should have a much nicer net bend here. And that's set. I'll recheck my cauls to make sure they're exactly where I want them. Okay, looks great here. Looks good here if I can avoid stumbling over things. At this point, I've still got some steam rising. I'm going to let the temp rise just a little bit more. What's happened is all that moisture has been cooked off into steam, and as a consequence, it's got to go somewhere. I'd like to get most of it out of the bending package and get the wood up to around 320, 330 degrees before we start drying it. And that's plenty for mahogany. You really don't have to go any hotter than that. So we're at 300 degrees right now, which is the surface of the wood on the upper side here, right next to the slat in the blanket. So what I do is, I say about 90 seconds after I see the pretty much the last of the serious steam rise, I'll let the temp come up. I normally don't even use this. I'll let the temp come up and just get it up to, pretty good temperature, 320, 330, and then I'll go ahead and flip it to variable and let the temperature drift back down to about 310 degrees, and I'll let that cook for about 35 minutes. We're at 310 right now according to the thermometer. I'll go ahead and move this up, and perhaps we can actually see that cooking away here. 313, 314 degrees. Still seeing pretty good steam coming off the upper bout here. Now, make sure it's not steam and it's steam and it's not burning wood, but I think we're in pretty good shape. We're showing 320 right now at nearly the highest point here, and I think we're just about ready to flip that over. That 321, the bundle will come up a little bit in temperature as we go, so this should peak at about 330 if I flip it over, turn it to variable now, and I've set it to variable. It should start coming down to about, I'll set it for about 300 degrees for the drying cycle. And actually, it's already kicked over and coming down. Now you notice I've got about 33 minutes left, so it took us a total of about 7 minutes to go through the bending process from a dead cold package and to a bent sides, and then once we hit the timer clicks off, I'll come down getting the side out of the bender.